So I'm going to talk about possible main effects and interactions in a 2 by 2 factorial design. We talked about 2 by 2 factorial designs in the last videos. Um, but it's possible to have a much more complicated design than this. But at the end of today, you'll understand why I'm not going there. So there are, if we're looking at cell phones and accidents, we can have a situation where both younger and older drivers perform exactly the same, whether there's a cell phone or not. It could be that cell phone use doesn't make a difference, but there is a main effect of age. It could be that there is a crossover interaction so that older drivers do poorly on cell phones and well when they're not on the phone, and younger drivers do the reverse. And again, notice this is what you're seeing. These are exactly the same thing. It could be that everyone has more accidents when they're on the cell phone, and yet younger drivers also have that number of accidents when they're not on the phone, and older drivers, drive well when they're not on the phone. It could be that, and here we have a spreading interaction where they're very close when they're not on the phone, both younger and older drivers, but they're much more different in terms of accident rates when they're on the cell phone. So older drivers having more accidents. It could be that here's another spreading interaction that younger drivers have lots of accidents when they're on the cell phone. Older drivers, not so many on the cell phone, and both groups are more intermediate when they're not on the cell phone. Here we have a crossover interaction where younger drivers perform the same whether or not they're on the cell phone, and older drivers have lots of accidents on the cell phone and not so many when they're on the phone. And finally, here's a case where neither age nor cell phone use makes a difference. Notice same cell phone or same cell results in each case. So one of the things you should be doing here is getting a feel for what your cells look like, how they might graph out, and also what the marginal means are here. So the mean of 5 and 8 is 6.5. That's what, these differences are how we recognize whether or not there's an interaction. So when we're describing main effects, we're saying there is a main effect for blank such that, blank is higher than blank. In this situation where we're looking at the effects of vocabulary training versus no training on both a verbal and a math test, you say there is a main effect for training types such that the vocabulary training group scored higher than the no training group. There's no main effect for test type. When describing a main effect for training type, you don't mention the test type, and the reverse is also true. Now, these are both the same thing. When we're talking about interactions, every interaction is different. There's no simple sentence strategy. So here's a simple main effect strategy. There is an interaction such that on the verbal tests, the vocabulary training group did better than the no training group. But on the math tests, the two groups scored the same. Now, why test all these interactions? Remember, most outcomes in psychological studies are not main effects, but rather interactions. And we're really interested in knowing when something happens or under what conditions. So those are the big things here. I'm going to stop here and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.